Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the State of the University Address. My name is Judy McDonald. I am the Faculty Senate Chair, a professor of mathematics and statistics, and the proud mom of a recent Cougar graduate. I'd again like to thank our jazz combo for their performance earlier. We have David Schneider on bass, Greg Yazanitsky on sax, Brian Ward on piano, and from our student ranks, drummer Anthony Chinita. Thank you for joining us today. The State of the University Address is a long-time tradition at WSU. It's a chance for us to stop and reflect on where we've been as an institution, where we are, and what are our opportunities and challenges going forward. This afternoon, President Schultz will share with you his optimism about Washington State University and where we're at, and highlight some of the outreach opportunities we're going to have, some outreach opportunities we're moving forward with at Washington, in the state of Washington. Let's see if I can get my brain and my tongue connected, and throughout the nation and the world. We will have a question and answer period following President Schultz's address. There is an opportunity for everyone here in Bryan Hall to ask questions, as well as those of you who are joining us from other sites. And if you look on the YouTube channel, there should be a place to enter comments. So if you want to ask a question, our social media experts will provide the question to me, and I'll read it out for Dr. Schultz to respond to. Following the question and answer period, we will have a reception in the lobby, where you will also have a chance to talk to President Schultz one-on-one. Kirk Schultz joined the university just about 2 years ago, in June of 2016. He is our 11th president. He is a tenured professor in the Jean and Linda Volan School of Chemical Engineering and Bioengineering. And he joined us having most recently been the president at Kansas State for a term of 7 years. During his first year at Washington State, President Schultz launched the Drive to 25 initiative with the goal of being ranked a top 25 public research university by 2030. The Drive to 25 encourages us and helps us choose activities that will move us forward in our goal to be transformative in education and to help us become a preeminent research institution. One of the exciting things, as you all know, that has happened at Washington State University recently is the opening of the med school. We had our first class of 60 students start in the fall of 2017, and we continue to celebrate and move forward with our medical school, and of course, Kirk Schultz is at the helm, helping us do that. The president enjoys meeting regularly with members of the Coug family, and if you're a Twitter fan, hopefully you already know, but if you don't, you can join his Twitter feed. It's at WSU_Cougar_Prez. So at WSU_COUGAR_PRES. And you didn't come here to hear me, you came here to hear President Schultz. I would like to welcome President Schultz to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, and I appreciate everybody coming out today, and I also want to welcome the folks that are watching this online at our different campus locations or in the comfort of your office or home as you watch this online. And it can be like an athletic event that's not going well. If after 20 minutes you're bored, you just click and turn it off. So, but thank you for being here. I also want to express my appreciation and thanks to Greg Yazinski and our music faculty and students for the music as we were kind of coming in here today. And this is really a special week for us at WSU. We've got certainly our showcase events all week. We've got the 3-minute thesis competition this week. We've got the Coug Give program that really starts tomorrow. And if you've been on social media or seen anything, if you've got something at WSU you want to support as a faculty member, staff member, a student, tomorrow is a day to really go out there and pick that favorite activity or program or a function that we have here and consider contributing to that. This is also birthday week, not for me, but for the university. 128 years of serving the state of Washington, and I think that is significant as well. So we have lots to be proud of, and I think as we were preparing this particular address, I think the purpose of a State of the University address is really to celebrate our achievements as an institution, celebrate our achievements as faculty and staff, talk about the great things that you all are doing for the state of Washington, for the region, the nation, and the world. In the fall, the provost and I tend to go around and we do different talks to different schools and colleges and units and things like that, where sometimes we dive into more topical issues at that time. We talk about details of budget and things like that. State of the University address is not where we're going to do that. So while I talk about our successes, I also want to acknowledge that we've got some financial challenges ahead, and I want to thank so many of you in the room for rolling up your sleeves, working together to try and address some of the challenges we have to put us on a better fiscal plane. I look forward to July to share with you some exciting news about the progress that we're making as an institution, but we want to keep that in context of the accomplishments I think are all the more notable because we're not doing it in the resource environment that we would all like to live in. So thanks for being here today, and I hope you have fun. Look forward to some great questions afterwards. The Drive to 25, we're going to start with this because it's our penultimate goal as an institution. And I think if we think about the Drive to 25 and how we started that, we always need something to aspire to. And I think as an institution, you can say, well, gee, it's kind of a tough time, and do we really still want to be aspiring to that? To me, sometimes when things are a little challenging is when you need to have that inspirational goal that's out there that you say, this is a mountain that we're going to go climb. Maybe we don't climb it as fast as we'd like, but we want to keep our eye on that particular goal. So, as a reminder, the Drive to 25 is our goal to be recognized as one of the top 25 public research universities in the nation by the year 2030. We have 11 different metrics that we've selected, and you can go to the website and check it out, and you can see not only the metrics, but also the action plans that many of you in the room, faculty, staff, and students have worked to put together to say over the next 3 years, here's what we want to accomplish in some of these particular areas. It's vital to our university's future, and I think that's an important thing that we have to keep in mind. It's interesting as we see dean's candidates, vice president candidates, faculty candidates, students come through, how many people are aware of the Drive to 25 and will mention it as something that's important to them. If you ask a lot of our leaders that have come on board, they want to come on board an institution that's got an aspirational goal and is moving there. But the bottom line is the Drive to 25. Ultimately, I've had a cold, so I apologize. I'll be drinking all evening. It is Dasani water, though. We feel good about that. The reason this is so vital and the reason that we've got to be successful is we want to make sure that we raise our visibility nationally, internationally, for the very reason that it provides more opportunities for our students. For our undergraduate students, our master's students, our PhD students, our professional students, higher ranking and higher visibility as an institution opens doors for our students. And that's actually what we're trying to get to. We can talk about metrics and all those things, but it's really about student success. One of the things that we can talk about as well is that we are Washington's state university. And this sounds the kind of thing that our marketing team would come up with, and we would talk about it, especially if we're in Seattle and we want to poke the University of Washington a little bit. You know, we say, hey, we're really Washington State University. But if we look at the breadth of what we do, it's pretty stunning that we are really all over our state. So this particular graphic, I think, shows this well. We have our 6 campuses: Pullman, Spokane, Tri-Cities, Vancouver, and Everett. We have 4 research and extension centers that have students and faculty and staff on those particular locations. We have research units and stations, 4 additional ones of those. We have 39 county extension offices located all through the state of Washington, 25 small business development centers. So you look at a graph or a map of the state of Washington, we truly are everywhere from the coastal area right up to the Idaho border, from up near Canada to Oregon, and are all over our particular state. This really meets the land-grant mission of Washington State University, but when we talk about our impact, and we talk about the things that we do, I want people to always remember it's more than Pullman. It's all across the state, and we want to really highlight some of that today. We are the university of choice with a record enrollment this last year, 30,614 students, up nearly 400 students from where we were a year ago. And it's exciting to think about that particular growth as a system, but it's not just how many students we have, but it's the caliber and style of the students that we have coming into Washington State. So if we look at that entering class this last year, about 31% of that entering class are underrepresented minority students. WSU made a strong commitment multiple years ago to diversify our students coming into Washington State University, and we have kept that up. We also have about 37% of those students are first-generation students. And when I tell people from outside the state that we have that number of first-generation students at Washington State, they still are shocked and surprised that we would have that large of a population. So this is part of our history, and the growth that we see across our system is not necessarily all equal. We have 2 of our campuses that are growing particularly quickly. Our Vancouver campus is at nearly 3,700 students, and our online global campus has over 3,000 students there. And I can tell you at graduation coming up in just a few short weeks, I'll meet somebody and shake their hand that's getting a degree from Washington State University. It'll be the first time they've ever set foot in the state of Washington. So that's a remarkable thing. I believe we'll be over 31,000 students this fall, not just across our entire system. So more and more people are desirous of the educational experience that we offer across our system. We're also changing the face of healthcare. And this is a picture, composite picture of our first class of medical students at the Elson S. Floyd College of Medicine. 60 young men and women that have come from all over. And just to give you some context here, we had over 700 applications for those 60 spots. We narrowed it down, went through the selection process. And remember, we're a community-based medical school. It's not just a second medical school for the state of Washington. It's a different style and philosophy. All 60 of these men and women are Washington residents. We don't have an out-of-state tuition for our medical school. If we look at the demographics of the particular class that came in, 57% of this class are women. 15% of this class are from small, what we term rural communities. And interestingly, 18% of the class are first-generation students. So when we talk about a community-based medical program where you spend 2 years in Spokane, years 3 and 4, either Spokane, Tri-Cities, Vancouver, or Everett, and that we're pushing our students out in the communities with healthcare systems and partnerships, we are changing the face of medicine and healthcare in the state of Washington. Well, I also, in that, we often think about just our physical campuses, those kind of 5 physical locations when we talk about Washington State. I mentioned the R&Es, the Research and Extension Centers. Those extension offices are all across the state, and they do lots and lots of different things. We tend to think sometimes of extension as only supporting the agriculture industry in the state. And as you look and get to know our extension professionals, you realize they do many, many more things. 4-H. We do a lot of applied and basic research that is really relevant to particular areas of the state. Our extension service does some cool things about STEM-related things and just involvement and engagement in their communities in major ways. What's this picture of is a really cool material that's being developed at our Puyallup Research and Extension Center that's focused around stormwater management. And stormwater management is a major issue in the state of Washington. You can't read almost anything about in the state, particularly in certain areas. Everybody's worried about pollution and effects on the environment and things like that on stormwater. Our researchers there are developing innovative materials using rain gardens and other types of things to help manage creatively stormwater. And we're going to have some demonstrations out afterwards at the reception, and I urge you to go by and learn a little bit more about the great work we're doing there. The other important part about this work is while WSU is leading it, we are doing this with the University of Washington. And one of the things I think you're going to see next academic year, we're going to talk a lot more about our partnerships with the University of Washington in research and other areas. Many of you who are here as faculty have faculty colleagues you work with at the University of Washington. And it's a powerful message to be able to go to the legislature and other places and talk about the two flagship universities working together to solve problems of relevance to the state. And that's a powerful story, and we need to tell it more often. Well, we also have a lot of other statewide innovations and things that we're leading and playing a really large role in. If we look at the whole Clean Energy Alliance and working to develop clean energy and green energy solutions for the state. If we look at the Washington Global Animal Health Alliance, again, a place Washington State is leading, not just the state, but around the nation. Some new initiatives this next year. We have the Amazon recently provided a major grant to Washington State University to go out there as called the Catalyst Program to take great ideas that come from faculty, staff, and students and provide that seed funding to get it going. They have a larger program at the University of Washington, and I'm absolutely convinced as they get to know WSU, not just here, but across the system, they're going to do more investment here. Recently, we have really upped our game with Schweitzer Engineering Laboratory. So sometimes we think about Seattle-based things. Well, guess what? We're doing some cool stuff right here in Eastern Washington and in our own community. SEL has been growing. They hire a lot of folks. They've made major contributions to Washington State University. They hire graduates. They're right here. We have different couples where one works at SEL, one works here. So we're developing tighter partnerships even in our own backyard. The other things that we're doing is we have some new other initiatives coming forward. Aging is an issue in our state. And through the college, the Carson College and the Hospitality Business Management program, we've got an Institute for Aging. As I get older, this is really important to me personally, but we need to make sure as we have an aging population that we have students trained in this area, that we're doing creative research in this particular area. So once again, another place where WSU is leading in the state of Washington. Well, athletics rising. What's shown here is a picture of some of our women's soccer players. This last year, our women's soccer team went to the Sweet 16. They advanced through 2 rounds against much higher ranked opponents and played extremely well. But athletics is our front door to the university, and that is a cliche that, when you go to president's school, they say, this is what you got to say about athletics, right? But as I travel around the country and see other people, this is what a lot of folks know. It's where a lot of alumni take pride in the institution. So this last year, we had probably the most successful fall sports season in Washington State history. And there's something called the Learfield Directors Cup, which measures overall on-the-field performance for fall sports. We finished 24th nationally in that. Football was in postseason, volleyball was in postseason, soccer was in postseason. We just had a really good set of on-the-field success. One thing, though, when I talk about intercollegiate athletics, I want to remind everybody, the vast majority of our student athletes are here to get a degree and compete at an elite level. We sometimes get hung up on the several student athletes that are going to turn professional, and we forget about the hundreds of other student athletes that are here for the Washington State experience. 22 student athletes are members of the Honors College at WSU. The other opportunity we have ahead of us is, many of you know, we've hired a new athletic director, Pat Chun. And one of the things that when we're interviewing candidates and talking about what we want to do, we want to make sure we have a really great collaborative environment between intercollegiate athletics and the rest of campus. So you're going to see Pat at more faculty events, at staff events, at student events, and you're going to see our coaches, because they're all part of trying to do the same thing, and that's move Washington State University forward. Research advances the state and beyond. It's interesting. I continue to be impressed as I go around campuses, as I meet faculty, staff, and students and see the exciting things that people are doing. This last, about a month or two ago, USDA released its list of 350 schools that receive USDA funding. WSU is number 1 on that list. We're doing creative work in lots of other areas, in electric power, in clean energy, wheat breeding, so on and so forth. We have many, many things that we are doing that are not just important to the state of Washington, but really nationally relevant, and we're going to talk about some of those at the end of my presentation. So the other part of the Drive to 25 is we will have 2 things: a preeminent research portfolio and a transformative educational experience. And sometimes we forget that, right? We get hung up in the day-to-day, coming into work and meeting students and teaching class and doing all that kind of stuff. And it turns out for many, many of our students, they weren't sure they would go to college ever, or that they could afford to go to school, or any of those kind of things. So we talk about this transformative educational experience. Sometimes we get hung up on, do we have the nicest toys, the most beautiful buildings? What we got to remember is, for many of our students that come here, they're going to look back in 30 years, and this was the time that really made them into the person that they are. So when we talk about the transformative educational experience, the first thing that is really the core of what we do is our faculty. And we have several faculty that we want to recognize for the outstanding honors that we received on a national basis, and I'll move off to the side. The first is Karayuki Jenga, who was our first new member of one of the 3 national academies this last year, and he was inducted into the National Academy of Medicine. John Peters was a new fellow for the American Association for the Advancement of Science and the American Microbiological Association. Susmeta Bose, who's with us today, was a new member of the Washington Academy of Science, as well as a fellow of the Materials Research Society. Aurora Clark was selected as a fellow of the American Chemical Society, and she was also appointed to one of the major committees of the National Academies of Medicine, Engineering, and Science. Janet Katz was selected as a fellow of the American Academy of Nursing. Andrei Smirnetko was also selected for a career award by the National Science Foundation. These are the top award NSF gives to really bright, young, upcoming scientists and engineers. And these are very prestigious awards that generally you follow the career trajectory of the folks who receive these. They do great things throughout their career. Then we have 3 additional members of the Washington Academy of Sciences, Amit, Douglas, and Jonathan. And the reason that the Washington Academy of Sciences is important to us is that we would see as a precursor to moving to the national academies. And so it's a very rigorous process, and we're really pleased to have 4 of our colleagues that were selected to that this last year. We also have a lot of nationally recognized academic programs, and this is you all, if you read WSU Insider, and you do that every single day. I've had to put in that pitch. Phil told me I had to do that. If you look at that, you see constantly, every couple weeks, we got another program that's being ranked by a particular ranking service. If we look out there, it's a wide variety of different programs. Our Murrow College of Communications was ranked number 1 in the top 10 in research nationally this last year. Our foreign languages program is routinely selected as one of the top 10 most creative in the way they address foreign language education. Our College of Business, the MBA program, the online MBA program, ranked in the top 12 nationally by U.S. News and World Report. And interestingly, just last week, the hospitality and business management component of our online MBA program by a ranking service was the best in the country, number 1. And as you go through these different types of things in all of our different colleges, it's a reminder that we're doing great stuff. It's also a challenge to us because it's great for us to know that here in Pullman in the Palouse, but we need to make sure that we're telling that story widely and broadly, that if you come to Washington State, you're coming to world-class educational programs and opportunities, and this shouldn't be seen as a second choice by anybody. We also have exceptional students, and this is the reason whether you're a president, a professor, an instructor, you're a staff member, you're working at a university, is because we get to work with some of the brightest young minds there are out there. And so taking all of our student achievement and putting it into a slide with 3 people on it is not doing service, but these are 3 individuals that really had some outstanding accomplishments. So Cornelius won the Bullitt Prize, which is a $100,000 award that allows him to continue to study and work in his passion in the area of agriculture. Lily Lee won a fellowship from the American Heart Association, and Jacob Day won a fellowship for advanced study from the National Institute of Health. We also had 5 Cougs that won NSF graduate fellowships this last year. So if we look out there, these are the type of high-profile awards and fellowships and things like that that only the very best get to do, and it's neat to see our students be successful competing nationally for these particular awards. We also have different groups that also win awards, and this last year in our construction management area, their particular design and build team finished top in the country. So all those experiences, you add them together, we have awesome students doing great things, and it's fun to be part of that. We also have some state-of-the-art facilities, and I'm going to show pictures of these, and it's going to kind of walk through all the different ones here as I'm speaking. The Schnitzer Museum of Art, we had a hard hat gala for that this last weekend. It's spectacular. You need to check it out. The Elson Floyd Culture Center, great meeting space for faculty, staff, and student organizations. A brand new student union building on the Tri-Cities campus, which has been needed for a long time. We dedicated the Lane Rollins Research and Education Complex this last fall prior to a football game. The Chinook Student Center, the old bookie. If you have not been in there, it's a transformed, multi-purpose space. Our newest campus, WSU Everett, we just opened that building up this fall, and it, again, has spectacular teaching and research spaces. And then the Spark. If you have not had a chance to walk through the Spark, you should check it out. It represents, I believe, the future of what our teaching spaces are going to look like on most campuses. Super flexible space, reconfigurable classrooms by teachers and faculty members, seamless technology linking us up across the state, in this cool round classroom that we thought about trying to do this address in, but unfortunately somebody's like teaching there, you know, go figure. But walk through that space, and I think it's a pretty remarkable time. Hoteling offices so that if faculty are going to be there for a couple hours, you can go get an office space and then somebody else use it after you're done. So really impressed with these new facilities. The other thing that we need to be thankful for is the state of Washington continues to invest in facilities at Washington State University. This last year, we received about $114 million in construction money from the state. That's going to do a couple things for us. We're going to be able to build a new additional plant sciences building, kind of the next phase in that life sciences complex. We're also going to get the money to basically get about half of the Global Animal Health Phase 2 done, and there's countless other projects that this money is going to come in and do on parking lots and renovations and things like that. So if you wondered why we haven't seen some of the construction starting up, it's because the state did not approve the money until very late in the year. But come this summer, cranes are going to come back. We're going to see some construction going on campus, and I think it's got that vibrancy that you sort of expect to see on any kind of a research, top 25 research university. We also want to enrich our international perspective, and we've talked a lot about INTO and the fact that we're signed a partnership to change the demographics somewhat of what our international population looks like. Today, we're about 7% students from outside the United States. And so often we get hung up on the financial parts of having more students from outside the U.S. Really, though, what we need to shift our perspectives to is say, what does it look like at other top 25 public research universities in terms of their enrollment from outside the U.S.? Almost all are significantly higher. And to me, it all comes down to what are we doing to prepare our students to work in a global marketplace. And to me, if you're in a design class, and guess what? You have a set of students you're working with from all over the world. That's going to give you a set of experiences on how to deal with other cultures and other people and other backgrounds. If these students are in your lecture classes and asking questions, and you get a chance to be in a study session with somebody, all of a sudden you get to know somebody from China or India or Oman or any of these other countries. Guess what? They're learning from you at the same time. That's the reason that it's important for us to continue to grow our international presence. Right now, we have students from about 110 different countries. Top 2 countries are China, number 1, and India, number 2. And I think as we talk about this, this is an important thing for us to embrace as a community. Private gift support is going to continue to be really critical. This last year, we had 7 gifts of $1 million or more to Washington State University. This is one of the gifts, which was a gift from Wine Spectator to WSU. And philanthropy is what gives us that extra amount of money to do the things that we feel that we need to do. In some ways, when I started my career as an academic administrator, we talked about philanthropy as kind of the icing on the cake. Well, today, it's part of the cake and the icing, too. So we have to have it to do those things that we need to. This $1 million gift, half of it is going to help us enhance some of our facilities at the Wine Science Center in the Tri-Cities. The other part is for student scholarships, for students interested in majoring in the enology space. We need to continue to go out and do that. We've raised about $50 million over the last 2 years for student scholarship support of all types. And that includes our largest endowed scholarship fund, which was nearly $16 million gift from the Logan family to establish the Logan, is a bequest, the Logan Scholars Program in our College of Education. So when we look out there, when I'm out traveling, when our deans are out traveling, when other folks are out there, we're looking to make sure that we're bringing dollars in to help us do our mission and grow towards that top 25 goal. What are we doing, though, for higher education access and success? And this is one of the things that I think is really important to us, particularly at this point in our time and our history. What are we doing to make sure that everybody who desires an educational experience has that opportunity to get one? What are we doing to make sure that every student that enrolls at any of our 6 campuses graduates? That's ultimately your goal. Maybe you're not going to reach it, but we got to be able to do better nationally than we're doing today, and we got to be doing better at WSU. So one of the things we have to do is expand our academic programs where it makes sense for the communities where it makes sense. WSU Vancouver, we've added 4 degree programs in the last couple of years, including several at the graduate level that had been needed on that campus and in sort of that southwestern Washington space for many, many years. If we look at our Tri-Cities campus, that campus is almost 2,000 students, but interestingly, it's our most diverse campus. Nearly 40% of the enrollment in the Tri-Cities are underrepresented minority students, and it's growing. Interestingly, in the Tri-Cities, about 70% of our students are majoring in STEM-related fields. So as we have a new chancellor there, we're looking at how do we expand our offerings in the Tri-Cities to STEM is important. We're talking about doing STEM plus. How do we add other degree programs that community needs and wants from the WSU campus that's located right there in that growing area of the state. If I look at our Everett campus, our newest campus, we've added 2 degree programs there recently in organic agriculture and data analytics. And then our online campus, we look at that, and we need to continue to make sure that we're adding online educational experiences, and we look to add 12 or so degrees over the next 18 months that are going to be offered exclusively online, including some things in the liberal arts and other areas. So sometimes we think about online education as, oh, that's fine for MBAs or that's fine for a master's in engineering, but what about these other fields? It's interesting for me to see and watch the evolution occur as more and more of our programs are going online, giving people that may be place-bound the opportunity to have a Washington State experience. We're also committed to a welcoming and inclusive environment. And we started the academic year this last year with our students and some faculty and staff that basically were saying, hey, we're not doing everything that we need to be doing as a community to make sure that everybody who comes to Washington State, any of our campuses, feels supported, welcomed, and that they're going to be an integral part of what we're like moving forward. So there was really 5 items that kind of came out of those meetings and demonstrations and protests, if you will. And we have 110 faculty, staff, and students working collaboratively on each of those 5 areas. Now, I know there's some frustration at times. How come it's not faster? How come we didn't get it done when we did? It takes time to do this in a sustainable fashion, and I think that's a critical thing, is we don't want to just do it and make a blip and go, yeah, we took care of this because there was some noise. We want to make sure that if we're going to change the way we operate, we change it in a sustainable, fiscally responsible way, and that's going on. We're also recognized nationally for some of our inclusivity efforts. We were ranked in the top 25 campuses in terms of our LGBTQ environment. So we continue to work on this, and excuse me, as I like to say, this is a journey. And it's not a thing that all of a sudden we get to a place, we check a box, and we say that we're done. And sometimes the road is going to be a little rocky, but we're going to keep at it. So this is something that all of the senior leadership team is committed to. We also need to continue, excuse me, to attract exceptional leadership at Washington State University. If you look at the set of faces up here, it's a remarkable 2-year journey bringing a lot of new people on board. Sandra Haynes is our new chancellor at WSU Tri-Cities. She's been here less than a month. Paul Petrie was named our permanent chancellor at Everett late last year. Lisa Calvert, our new vice president for advancement, has just been here a couple months. Stacy Pearson, our vice president for finance administration, been here almost a whole year. Mary Rezac came last summer as our dean of the college, the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture. Bruce Pinkleton, who's been here quite a while and served as interim dean of the Murrow College after a full national search, was named permanent dean last week. Daryl DeWald served as dean of arts and sciences for several years, and January 1st started full-time as our chancellor at WSU Spokane. Pat Chun, I mentioned previously, our new athletics director, been here about 4 to 6 weeks. Phil Weiler, our vice president for marketing and communications, been here since May of last year. Mary Jo Gonzalez, our vice president for student affairs, has been here over a year. Andre Denis Gerard Wright is our incoming dean at Connors, coming to us from the University of Arizona, will be here this summer. And Lisa Gloss is our interim dean of the graduate school. When I arrived at WSU and we're talking to different students, faculty, and staff groups, one of the things that came up was, Kirk, the senior leadership team here doesn't look diverse. There are people from a lot of different walks of life. And so one of our goals has been, as we have gone out and had opportunities to do searches and bring on leaders, are we building a diverse team of leaders at Washington State University? That's a question we have to always ask ourselves. We now have 2 women of color in very strong positions. We have more women leaders at WSU than we probably had ever in our history. So every time we have that opportunity, let's go out, and we're not compromising for any particular thing. We're just searching really hard to find people who are going to fit our culture and be able to take us to that drive to 25. So really, really pleased with the leadership team that we have in place. So how do we invest in programs that support students? This is really important because if we talk about that we want every student here to graduate, what types of things are we doing? And I'm going to use just 1 or 2 examples. We talked about at the beginning that we're proud of our first-gen students at Washington State University. Well, the Suter Foundation provided a grant to us several years ago to put some programming in place for first-generation students. For the participants in that program, we've moved our retention rate of those particular students up to 94%. So that shows that some of the things that we're doing with the students in this particular program are working. And what that does is you say, well, what about the first-gen students who are not in that program? Our challenge is, how do we take some of the best practices that we're learning and apply that to a broader set of students? We have many other types of programs that are focused around different demographics or different student groups to help make sure that we can optimize our students' chances of success. And sometimes when people I'll see out there as alumni, they're like, well, you guys must have lowered the standards today, because back when I was in school, it was tougher. And what I like to say is we haven't lowered any standards, but what we're doing is we're elevating our students to help them get to those particular standards. We also have things like the Math Learning Center, and I had the opportunity to meet with the director of the Math Learning Center a few months ago and talk about all the things that they're doing to help our students who are struggling in different math classes, whether it's their introductory class, differential equations, advanced math. There's a bunch of dedicated students and faculty that their job is to help our students move through those classes and get better grades and master those skills that they're going to need. Increasing our online resources. This is really an important thing as we look to managing textbook costs. When my son, who's graduating from Oklahoma State next month, or 2 months, we get his bills. He's an engineering student. He can spend $700 to $800 a semester on books. Many of our students who are working jobs, trying to go through school, books are a really substantial part of the cost of coming to WSU. So one of the ways around that, or one of the ways we can help with that, is by using open educational resource or online educational resources, OERs. We're doing a lot of things here out of the Provost's office. Many of you as faculty are electing to use these different resources, and we appreciate that. A lot of the leadership in this is on our Vancouver campus, and I appreciate the work that Mel Netzhammer and his colleagues are doing there. And they estimate last year they saved over $400,000 for the students there by utilizing effectively OERs. And this is the kind of thing we want to do across our broader campus. So let me wrap this up and talk about us and the impact we have on economic growth in the state of Washington. We have lots of cool things that we're doing. And I think if we go back a little bit to 1969, the wine industry in the state of Washington was essentially non-existent. It wasn't here. We had a couple of our faculty that worked with some folks that were interested in it, and really that was where a lot of the wine industry started, was due to WSU. This last year, estimates are the wine industry in the state of Washington has a $5 billion economic impact. WSU's been all part of that all along. And I think sometimes we don't tell that story, but it's interesting if you talk to some of the people in the ag community, they'll talk about, hey, it was extension folks and faculty that helped us get started. So if we look at 4 or 5 kind of key areas where we're really driving some economic growth for the state of Washington, first, the wine industry. And if you have not been through our Wine Science Center in the Tri-Cities campus, the St. Michelle Estates Wine Science Center, it is a spectacular facility. Folks went to UC Davis, which has the top facility, asked them, hey, if you're doing it again, what would you do differently? They told us, and it is really a state-of-the-art facility. And our director's here. I'll introduce him in a little bit, and he'll be out at a table there. I encourage you, if you're ever driving through there, go by and see it and check it out. Out of this world apple, and I brought a prop. So the Cosmic Crisp Apple. And let me tell you, if you've had one of these bad boys, they are really, really good. We expect to have these on store shelves in 2019. We expect to have 12 million apple trees planted with a Cosmic Crisp Apple. This will be the largest introduction of an apple ever, and it's being done because we had Washington State University faculty, staff, and students that were focused on this and have really brought forward something that's remarkable. They dropped these off at our office today, I think because we're doing the talk today and they want to make sure I had a prop. It was interesting. These were harvested 6 months ago, and they were in this little box that they brought us, and there's almost none left because the office staff's been eating them all day today. So anyway, they're awesome. Healthcare innovation. And one of the things I like to remind folks is we are excited about the medical school. I talked about the medical school class. We're also launching an incubator to work with companies and research and help turn it into marketable ideas there. But when we talk about healthcare, I want to remind everybody, guess what? We've got the largest pharmacy school in the state, the largest nursing school in the state that produces the most RNs. We have been involved in healthcare at WSU for a long time. The medical school has just added in an extra component to what we're already doing. And it's going to be important for us to take the research and scholarship that our faculty and staff and students are doing in this space and make sure that we're advancing healthcare for the state and region. More nutritious and flavorful bread. This is a picture of some of our folks at our bread lab in Mount Vernon. And interestingly, we received a $1.5 million endowed professorship for Steve Jones, who's right there in the middle, from King Arthur Flour and from Cliff Bar. And they are really interested in some of the unique agricultural things that we're doing with bread and nutritious bread. So interestingly, this received the attention of Bill Gates. And so Bill Gates set up a visit to the bread lab to meet our faculty, staff, and students there. There could be no administration, nobody from the foundation, no university president. He just wanted to be able to go and talk to the people doing the work and just was curious about what was happening. So we're getting national and international attention about some of the cool work that we're doing in Mount Vernon. Green Energy Solutions, this is Professor Kelvin Lynn in the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture, who's doing some creative material science work on new materials for solar cells. It also enhances the green energy work that we're doing as an institution. We're doing stuff in smart grid, smart cities, and these other types of areas. Aviation biofuels that are environmentally friendly. We have a history of doing some of this work here, and it's great to see the creative, innovative work that goes on. We also have several success stories of research or graduates or faculty that have come out of WSU. So what's shown here is Joe Harding and Lean Kawas. She worked in his lab. She is the president and founder, essentially, of a biotechnology company in the Seattle-based area, M3, that's highly successful at doing some drug optimization. The other thing, if you watch some of the Olympics like I did, some of the simulations, some of the 3D work was actually technology developed by two of our former faculty who started a company here in Pullman. It grew. They moved it to the Bay Area. It was bought by Intel, and I had a chance to visit them last year at their company. And it's kind of cool. You walk past all this stuff, and it's Stanford and Berkeley and all this stuff, and you go into this one area, and there's Coug flags everywhere in Northern California, and they are very, very proud of their WSU roots and heritage. Before I wrap up, job-ready graduates are really important. And we need to make sure, we don't say it's always just job-ready, are our graduates from WSU and all of our campuses ready for that next step in life? Now, for some, that is job placement. Our College of Education, 100% placement of our education graduates prior to graduation. Construction management, for 10 years running, every graduate has had a job prior to graduation. We can go through program after program after program that has similar types of things. We also have some that don't have that. And one of our challenges and opportunities moving ahead is how, as an institution, do we make sure that we have a great landing spot for every graduate of Washington State University. So, I was able to talk a little bit about some of the exciting work that's going on. John Stark, who is here, runs our work in the Puyallup Research R&E Center around stormwater. And John is here, and he's going to be out in the lobby afterwards to answer your questions. And he's got a cool demonstration he does that shows off some of this creative materials and pavements they're working on. Susmita Bose is also here. She does some very, very cool work in the materials and biomedical engineering space, and she's got some stuff to show you also out in the lobby. Lysandra Perez has done a study abroad, and when we talk about that transformative educational experience, she's done a lot of things at WSU, and I think it's a reminder that we have a lot of students that come here And guess what? They get to spread their wings and do things they never thought they can do. And I hope you have a chance to visit with her. Mary Jo Gonzalez, our Vice President for Student Life, has been a transformational leader since she has joined our team. She pushes us to think broadly about different things. She's modernized a lot of what we do in student life and is bringing best practices from not just around the West Coast, but around the country to WSU, and we appreciate her. She's going to be outside as well. Kate Evans, I talked about the Cosmic Crisp that I have down on the floor as my snack before dinner. The Cosmic Crisp apple. Kate did a lot of work on that. She wasn't able to be here for this part because I think she was teaching, and so she'll be out there as well and answer your questions about that. And then Thomas Hennig Kling runs our Wine Science Center in the Tri-Cities area. I would like to tell you that he has samples to pass out, but we violate all kinds of laws, and so he'll have some sample bottles that are stoppered that you can look at, but no wine samples afterwards. I apologize. We'll have to do this after 5 to do that. But this represents a handful of the individuals that make a difference for all of us here, and I hope you have a chance to visit with all of them. But I want to take this last slide to say thank you to you all as our faculty, our staff, and students, regardless of where you are, what location, whether you're in an R&E center, whether you're teaching class now, whether you happen to be here or one of our campuses. We have a tremendously dedicated set of people that no matter what the circumstances are rolling up their sleeves, working to get it done, and you don't see growing enrollment at a university that's not going somewhere, that students aren't talking about the great experiences they have. And they don't have it because of the president. They have it because of all of you all that interact with our students on a daily basis and are making a difference in their lives. So thank you for all you do. And with that, I'd be happy to take some questions. Thank you.
Thank you, President Schultz, for reminding us of all the wonderful things we're doing at Washington State University. Do we have questions for President Schultz?
I guess everybody's ready for the reception.
Well, we line up such a great group of people to talk to, both in addition to yourself. It's pretty tempting.
Oh, right here.
Can you come up to the mic for us, please?
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. We'll get you next, if that's all right. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So I'm an opinion editor at the Daily Evergreen. My name is Jackson Furderer. I just had a quick question. I know we're facing a lot of budget cuts right now. I know the plan has been to reduce spending continuously over every semester. I know the plan has been, so far after the request for administration to take a cut, that would not happen. I was wondering if there was any plan in the future for the administration to take an equal cut that other colleges are taking.
So let me try and answer, give some perspective on that. Every unit on campus is doing the same spending reduction, whether it's an administrative unit, it doesn't make any difference. President's office, Vice President for Student Life, everybody's taken that. So there is no unit on campus that's getting a pass that is not having to reduce spending. The proposal that was brought forward that was in the paper and others from a couple faculty members was that particular individuals in the administration should take personal salary cuts to do that. And we communicated back out to campus that we just don't think that's an appropriate thing to do at this particular time. And let me put it also in this way. Let's just pretend that we hire person X, say, hey, come to WSU. We want you to lead this unit or this particular area of campus. They show up. After 2 weeks, they go, oh, man, I got some budget issues here that somebody else took care of. I got to solve all this. And we say, well, you know what? In addition to you having to solve budget issues you didn't actually do, we're going to cut your salary 20%. And they're going to go, why did I move in the first place? So I think when we look at that proposal, I appreciate the fact somebody brought a creative idea forward. And we always want ideas. But that just didn't seem to be the right thing to do at this particular time. But I want to make it clear that it's not like a college is taking a 2% spending reduction and all other units are somehow not. Everybody's having to do that across campus.
Thank you.
Hello, President Schultz.
Hello.
I have one quick question for you. Out of the $114 million that you received this year from Washington State University, how much exactly is going to the buildings we already have for preventative maintenance?
I don't know.
Let's keep our boys working, that's all I can say.
No, I don't know, but one of the decisions that we made, for example, when the state did not pass the capital budget request last fiscal year, the session that went for 6 or 8, 7 months, is we elected to say, you know what, we're going to find projects for folks, and we're not going to do layoffs because we think that a budget is going to come from the state that would allow us to keep those individuals. So that was a risk, but we felt it was the right thing to do. And so not all of that 114 is going for those new buildings. I can't tell you what percentage is going for the different projects, but if you would like, I'm happy to send you that list.
I would, if you would mind.
Yeah.
Also, on a quick note, why are we building new buildings when there is so much preventative maintenance on campus that needs to be done?
Yeah, so if everybody heard the question, it's a great question. Why are we building new buildings when we could take that 114 or we take 250 million and put it into just existing infrastructure that we have to upgrade the current stuff that we need to upgrade, really? The issue is the legislature loves to fund new buildings. They're not quite as enamored of paying for maintenance. I mean, I wish I could give you a different answer, but the reality is that we're working hard to talk about deferred maintenance. If we think we got challenges, University of Washington's challenges far exceed ours. And so both of us are working together to really talk about the fact that at some particular point, the state's going to need to make major investments on simply deferred maintenance on buildings that we currently have. So we're making that pitch, but it's a group of men and women that tend to fund what they would like to, and our job is to make sure we get as much resources as possible, but it's not always going to be in the buckets or categories that we would like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have people joining us off-site through the YouTube channel, and I have a question from Patrick. I know WSU focuses a lot of research on sustainability and green energy, but what is WSU doing as an institution to be sustainable now and in the future as climate change is a pressing issue?
That's a good question that I'm not sure I'm going to have a great set of answers to. I think there's a couple things. As we build new buildings and structures, we're working hard to make sure that we build buildings that are energy friendly, environmentally friendly, things like that. I think that's good business to do, and I think that's an important thing. So as we do renovations on buildings and things like that, we're trying to do more energy efficient types of spaces. Is there more we can do as a community? I'm like many people, drive or walk around campus, and 10 o'clock at night, I know everybody's in their office working. But there's an awful lot of lights on sometimes in buildings that are not safety lights, they're just office lights or things that people leave on. There may be some things that we can do that are cultural types of things that would help our particular campus. Some of the other things that are being done in our College of Engineering and others around, I'll say the smart cities, but it's shutting things off, using different types of light and light bulbs and more efficient energy. There's always things that we can do. And I think as we move to the next year, we need to start having some campus conversations around that, because a lot of this, I would say, you can call it conservation, call it what you will. I think it's good practice for us, and frankly, if we spend a little less money, that gives us dollars to invest in other areas.
So just a reminder to our off-site viewers, if you're watching through the YouTube channel, you should be able to find a comment box where you can submit your questions, and they'll be brought up to me.
Yeah, if you told me I was ever going to be on YouTube, I would have, no, I don't think so. So I'm still processing that. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Of political science, and I'm also director of our undergraduate program. And I have some tough questions for you. I study symbolic politics, and what I saw today was there was pretty much nothing from social sciences that was actually accentuated in your program. And I find this very much a shame, because I know in our school we are doing so many exciting things, whether it's from the Institute for Public Deliberation. Our whole school is dedicated to solving the wicked problems of the world. So I just want to raise that issue, but I'm going to attach it to a funding issue and also the Drive to 25. Our school has been very dedicated in terms of being very productive and has a very high international and national reputation. I was co-editor of PRQ for 8 years. It was housed in our department. I'm quite well known in the world myself. Not saying you should have put me up there, but we just had a meeting with our dean from CAS, and we are now down to 9 full-time faculty, and we are staffing a PhD program. A PhD program. And we have 500 political science majors. And I'm not talking about philosophy. This is just on our Pullman campus. And we were told that this is going to continue. We have 3 positions opening up this year, and they're not being filled. So my question to you is very specific. What it is that, and we're told that this is going on for 3 more years. So if we're trying to do the Drive to 25, and we don't even have a cohort of 9, we used to have 17 faculty. I don't know how we're supposed to do this. I really don't. And I think it's quite telling that you didn't have anything from CAA. You didn't have people from the social sciences, from the humanities, who are doing fantastic things. And so I'll just close with an even more provocative remark, which is it is the feeling on the part of quite a few people who I've worked with for many years that we are seeing an instance of robbing Peter to pay Paul. We saw the headlining of the medical school, and it is many people's understanding that the budget that's being brought together for that is being at the cost of many units within CAS specifically. So thank you very much, with all my respect, but I'm a political scientist, and I do critical thinking, and I believe that it's important to talk about these issues up front. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple things. As carefully as we always put these presentations together, we're always going to have certain areas that weren't elected. We didn't decide, hey, we're not going to cover this. We just run out of time and space, and so I apologize. And we had, when we did our original Drive to 25 things, we managed to neglect having anything related to the arts in there, and so we corrected that. So my apologies, but we always have some things that we're not going to be able to put in, or that we simply run out of time, or I don't want to go for an hour and 15 minutes. So that's really a content issue, and we'll continue to make sure that next year we look at that a little more carefully so that all parts of campus are there. In terms of the budget, I want to make it really clear that all decisions that we're making stink because we're cutting back across all of campus, and nobody, in my opinion, is overly budgeted where there's like, oh, well, you know what, we'll take these cuts and it doesn't really hurt us. You articulated your position incredibly well in that of your program, but we could have 15 other people that would stand up and say exactly the same thing in other colleges and things like that. I didn't create the $30 million budget hole, and it sucks to have to fix it with no positiveness to be able to say, hey, here's some other stuff that we did. So I'm sorry that we have to do those things, but I'm committed that over the next couple of years, we've got to get ourselves back so we're at least operating in the black as an institution. And then there are going to be some areas that we're going to have to reinvest in. And I'm not going to promise anybody we're going to reinvest in area X, Y, or Z, but we've got to get ourselves at least back so that at the end of the day, we balance out. And every college is letting people go, not rehiring, things like that, and it is going to affect our ability to do things. On some issues of the Drive to 25, there is no question, and I want to make this clear, that we can't do a lot in the next couple of years because we don't have the resources to put into areas that are very faculty dependent. And that's a lot. 9 people, PhD program, 500 majors, no question. And so I think there's fair for some units to go, hey, there's certain aspects of Drive to 25, I'm sorry. we're not going to be able to do much with right now because we're just simply trying to keep our heads above water. And I've had that discussion with our senior team, and I think we've got to be cognizant of that. So none of these answers will be satisfactory, but I do think we'll be more careful next year to make sure that we've got other areas of campus that we talk about. The medical school is new. We talk about it a lot, and at some particular point, we've got to talk about other things. And so I'll be a little more careful as we construct the types of things I talk about as president. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Matthew Morrow.
Yep.
I'm a member of the student government here, and I also had a question about the Drive to 25. Last year, ASWSU had a resolution in support to Drive to 25, and also the focus on certain criteria, which increases universities' rankings, so that WSU would focus on stuff like increasing research dollars rather than median SAT score, in a way to continue the university's mission of being accessible without hindering its ability to raise rankings. But one of the things we find in student government that's difficult isn't that there aren't students that do not want to be involved, but sometimes they don't know effective ways to be involved. So specifically for the Drive to 25, what are some ways that undergraduate students or graduate students can give their input about how the university moves forward in trying to increase their ranking?
Yeah. So right now we have several different groups that have put together these action plans that are like, what are we going to do in the next couple years? Not what are we going to do 20 years from now or 10 years from now? What are we going to do today? And some of those groups did involve students. And so what we're doing is we're putting those out, and as we get them all up on the website, we're going to put them out for critique and suggestions and things like that. And so what we're going to do is actively invite people through student government, faculty, staff, faculty senate, everything, rip them apart, tell us what's right, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. And that, to me, needs to be a constant iterative process. It's not something we do today and then stop. It's something that, next year we've got some tweaking that we do and we ask for input. And the plan is not, it shouldn't ever be Kirk's plan for WSU. If it is, and I get hit by a bus, all of a sudden the next person comes in, it's a completely different plan. If it's well done and articulated and there's buy-in from the university, whoever's president, doesn't matter. It becomes a university initiative to do this. And so that's what we're trying to work towards. In an ideal environment, and I want to go back to the last person who commented, in an ideal environment, we would have dollars set aside to invest in particular areas and programs and things that would help enhance that. There's no president's book that you go to that says, hey, while you're cutting everything back, let's announce a major initiative to move forward. But at the same time, there's certain things that I think we need to be doing with philanthropy and other dollars to help with the Drive to 25. That means that you better have that plan there, so when the state dollars are stable and the tuition dollars are stable, that we know where we want to invest, and we've thought about that in a meaningful way. So,
thank you.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Paige, and I'm a freshman here, and I have two kind of tough questions for you. A lot of girls I've talked to on campus, we no longer feel safe here, and this is our home. So the first question is, how is WSU working to prevent sexual assault on campus with the understanding that previous actions have not significantly reduced rates of sexual assault, and that those who come forward through WSU still face serious barriers to seek justice? And second, what is WSU's policy on signing with athletes who have been charged with sexual assault and/or domestic violence?
Yep. So the second, let me do the second first. I'll swap them around. The second first, and I know Jordan Frost is here. He's our sitting student body president, has been very active about this particular issue. And we got a new athletic director, and Jordan and Pat had a chance to sit down and really talk through this. And because most of the student athletes are underage, that's information that we can't get. And so it has nothing to do with WSU getting, other places can't get that as well. So we're not sure how practical something like that would actually be. And I want to be careful that we don't announce that we're doing something, and you might go, oh, that's great. And then when you really look into it, you go, well, the university said they're doing it. What it comes down to is a meaningless promise because there's no real execution that's there. So I think we've got to look at alternative ways to deal with that issue of student athletes, and in general, any student that comes to WSU. We can pick out student athletes, but should it be allowed that we can put somebody else on full scholarship that's not a student athlete that had the same kinds of things? So I think it's a broader issue. The first part about safety on campus and sexual assault and things like that, we had a conversation, we've had conversations all year, but particularly yesterday, about what proactive steps, additionally to what we're doing now, can we do. Looking at using apps and some other types of things so that students can have additional information and ways to record information and elect what they would like to do in different ways. So I think it requires dialogue, and it's going to require some ideas from just about everybody in the campus community. This isn't about a single demographic group. We need the community to say this is something that we want to put a stop to, that we want to support victims, and we want to make sure that this is a safe place for anybody to come. So this is a continual journey, and I know people get frustrated by this. We just got to keep at it. We need suggestions for what you think we can do to continue to make this better.
And do you mind if I ask a quick follow-up? So what is the WSU's policy for people who are convicted of these crimes while at WSU? Like if someone is convicted of having raped someone while they're a student at WSU, what is WSU's policy on their furthering attendance? We have
a student conduct process, and so every student that goes through there, there's a procedure that we're actually, if there was an article in the Daily Evergreen this morning about the student conduct process and our changes, there's a very set written procedure that anybody accused of things like assault, sexual assault, goes through, and frequently students who are convicted of things like that are expelled from the university. So it depends on circumstance, and I don't want to say anybody accused is expelled. There's a due process, but that we take it seriously, and we want to make sure that if somebody's been convicted of something that they're not part of our university community. That would apply to not just sexual assault, but physical assault, other types of felony crimes.
All right, well, thank you.
Yes.
You talked about accessibility and inclusion. I think that where we put our dollars is where we put our values, and I think the Access Center needs a lot more funding on campus. I would say their staff needs to be probably quadrupled, considering that they're getting new students every year that have, especially with the awareness of mental health, and that those are disabilities that are in the DSM-5. Another thing, just to piggyback off of what she said about sexual assault, it's one thing to be raped, it's another thing to be raped by the system, to be blamed or shamed by the people who are paid and trained to respond to sexual assault, such as police, student conduct, various administrators, whatnot, therapists. I would like to see more opportunities for feedback during that process, and even afterwards, even for people who maybe have gone through it years later, when maybe they're finally coming to terms with what they experienced. And you're talking about bringing new ideas. Well, I have a new idea, and so this came from, sorry, I don't want to offend anybody here, but after Tyler Helinski committed suicide, we talk a lot about killing the stigma around asking for help, and I think that's great, but also let's not call it asking for help. Change the word instead of just changing the idea about the word. And so coming up with a walking program called like Let's Walk Together, or something where people can just figure out how to be connected to their community and just go for walks and talk instead of just always having it be in front of a therapist and trying to figure out funding to organize it and to market it. But one thing that we really also need to talk about is trauma, especially with healthcare, talking about trauma-informed within trainings and whatnot, and so increasing our healthcare with that. And then I think the statistics are 1 out of 4 girls by the time they've been 18 have been sexually assaulted. And so those people have experienced trauma even before they even get to WSU. How can we help them? How can we help them feel connected to their community, to their peers, where a lot of those people feel isolation? And so I think that these would be some great areas to start with, and making sure that we have accessible offices So that way we know that we can come to our administrators and how to do that, and if you guys have open office hours, or if you guys don't, and how to reach out to you guys.
Okay. There's several things there. I think one of the things, if you look nationally and you look at WSU, that we have more and more students who need counseling services in a broad sense. And if we look at just even a few years ago, the folks that we have are overwhelmed, frankly, with demand. And there's no question that some of our centers need additional staffing, additional people, additional professionals to help manage this. And as I talk to presidents at other institutions, and certainly in public higher education, we're all going through similar types of things, is how do we staff up to make sure that we have enough people to meet our student needs and our student demands. So I think that is something that Dr. Gonzalez and I have talked about several times, about what types of things we can do creatively to make sure that we have the staff to support many of our students who have many different needs. And frankly, faculty and staff and administrators are not qualified to be able to really work and handle some of these cases. We need professionals who know what they're doing to make sure that there's a healing process, there's a safe space, and that we're surrounding our students with people that can help them move on to other parts of life. So thank you. Anything else?
So I have a question from Brandon on Twitter. Why have you and Noelle been such town gown champions? What have you done this for, and what is on the horizon?
Well, to me, Pullman and WSU are so interconnected. It's really important that we have great town gown relationships. The only way you can have a great relationship is to get to know each other and be willing to spend some time learning a little bit about the faults, the things that have gone well, and things like that. And I can remember the first town gown meeting I went to, where we had about half town and half university, and an hour and a half later, people were describing all the stuff that they were upset about that WSU had done. They went back like 5 presidents. I mean, it was back 25 years. I can't believe this and that. Well, guess what happened? After about 2 more meetings, all that stuff was out of everybody's system, and we started saying, hey, what can we do together to make sure that we have a downtown that we're proud of, that students and their families want to go to, that we've got businesses that cater to the faculty and things that are coming here, that we have an inclusive community. So we can talk about an inclusive university, but guess what? People got to feel that when they're anywhere in Pullman, that they're welcomed and people want them here. So to me, I can complain about it or I can do something about it. And I think if the president and other leaders start saying, hey, we're going to meet you halfway, let's make things better, I think that's the reason. So I don't want to be the person that's complaining about, I wish we had this or wish we had that, and they're like, Kirk, what are you doing about it? We're going to work together, and we're going to make sure that the great Pullman is even better, and that the town-gown relationship here is seen as the best in the country, and we can easily make that happen. So, all right.
So we have one last question for President Schultz. Jordan, come on
Hello.
up.
Who is your favorite student body president you've ever worked with? Okay, I have a real question. My real question
Taylor,
is,
I really like.
oh jeez. So just a week ago, Noel posted how it was your 1-year anniversary at WSU. So could you, 2 years? Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Can you tell us about what your favorite memory has been as president, and then one area where you think you could have done better as president in that time?
Yeah, that's great. Favorite memories as a president, let me give a couple. One is when you're first introduced and you're going out and you're meeting all these people for the first time, and you're on all the different campuses and everybody's just excited to welcome you. That's always a little bit of a high. Beating USC in football on Friday night and watching everybody rush the field and just the euphoria that was sort of just prevalent in the community, that was also, you know, a really big highlight. One of the things that happens when you're a president somewhere, and when I was at Kansas State for 7 years, you build up some political capital, right? So when something happens, people know you a little bit. The situation involving a couple of our football players that were from American Samoa that we didn't handle very well from a cultural point of view. We just get to the end of it, we had half the football team and half the community showed up at a regents meeting and talked about that we weren't handling it well. You just look at that whole thing, and Jordan, if I have to pick one thing, that's one thing that I would wish I had handled differently or better. But part of it too is you go to a new place and you don't know who to listen to and what's right and what's wrong. You got conflicting opinions, and you know, sometimes you're going to go down the wrong pathway. So if I could do one thing better or differently, I would have handled that a little bit differently now than I did then. So, but largely, we've had a great run over 2 years and lots of positives about the institution, and I'm really looking forward to another great year for us. So anyway, thank you all. Appreciate it.